To me, one of the most important things that you can do to establish a relationship with your client is to understand their goals and objectives. And the way that I do that is something called our investment philosophy pyramid. It's in the retirement planning software system. We start at the bottom of this pyramid. We really need to understand whether they're going to have enough income in retirement to satisfy their needs. And we often talk about a base level of income down here. Now, we consider Social Security, pensions, and anything else that is a steady income stream. And for some clients, that's all that's needed, but for many clients, they're going to be using their assets to generate some of that income. In some cases, they're going to be using all of their assets to generate as much income as possible. The thing is that in order to generate income, I'm going to want to use conservative investments, or I want to use safe investments with guaranteed income streams, or a combination thereof. When we're talking down here, these are not risky investments. So if we can get connected philosophically with the client that we're trying to take care of this base income, we're trying to take them from an area where they're constantly stressed about where the next dollar is coming from to an area where they have peace of mind because we've solved this problem, it quickly becomes aligned then on how we're going to invest that money to accomplish that. Now, for some clients, of course, this is easy to solve. Maybe their pensions and Social Security is all they need to live on, and we can move up to the next level. We've got extra money, we're going to move to the next part of the pyramid. In this part of the pyramid, we're going to look at estate growth and protection. The types of things we talk about here are, of course, wills and trusts and asset transfer and things like that. But we're also going to talk about tax planning. We're going to talk about wealth transfer, long-term care insurance, other protections for the family, survivorship of a spouse. In this area, the types of investments that we typically talk about then are going to be life insurance, long-term care insurance, and things like that. So by them allocating some assets in their mind to making sure that this area is taken care of, it's pretty quick then that we now understand what kinds of investments they are going to be in order to accomplish that. Now, for some clients, they don't care about their beneficiaries, and this isn't a big deal to them. And so we move forward, and we move up into an area that I tend to call managed investments, other assets, other places in their life. We're now moving into an area where they've got enough money that they passed both of these tests down here, and we've got extra money. This is typically where most advisors start. They look at their assets, they say, this is how I would invest them for the future, but I really like to get through these other two steps first before I have that conversation. Interestingly enough, now that I've got these bottom two things taken care of, the types of things that I can talk about up there are assets. We can talk about any kind of investment philosophy up there that, depending on their risk tolerance and how they feel about money, we can be doing lots of different things up here. But it's also an area that we've now moved from an area where we were worried to an area where we're confident. And when we get up to this area, we can now talk about having a big impact. These people have enough money that they can start to think about what is it going to do for them, for their spouses during their lifetime, but also what can they do to really leave an impact on this world. It's great discussions, and it really opens up an entirely new area of advice for them. So once again, the whole idea here is to really get them aligned philosophically, because each one of these layers are going to drive an entirely different investment philosophy. And if they're aligned with this and you understand their goals and objectives for each one of these areas, you're going to be able to solve their financial issues much better, and you're going to have a great connection. This is a great tool to make sure that you're aligned with your clients and going to give them the advice they need.